Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. I'm Hammer. I'm joined by my two favorite people in the whole wide world, Genty Maxi.
Hello.
And Terry Diamantis.
Hello.
Just a word up front before we get to our end of the show. I've had some problems with my computer, just configuration issues. So you might see some differences. You might hear some differences. Things may not sound right. If you run into anything, let me know. There's a good chance I can fix it on the fly. But I've tried to nail down everything that's wrong, and it was the latest version of Windows Update. I think it killed me. I may have to redo my entire machine, but we're working well enough that the show should go off well, but I don't really know, so we'll find out as we go. But
we'll find out.
We will find out.
We'll do it live.
We didn't really find anything wrong when we were doing the Rumble stream, so I'm going to assume that the YouTube stream's going to be fine as well. So how you doing, Jen?
I'm well. It's cold, but I'm well.
Yeah, it's cold here too. 34 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like it's 2 Celsius for you guys or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, Terry?
A little tied behind the eyes because, like usual, the maintenance on the roads is in the middle of the night, so that was a bit rough. But other than that, I'm fine.
Well, before we get into the topics that we won't be covering tonight, why don't you guys go ahead and say hello to everybody in chat.
Well, I'm cheaty because I have the smallest list, so I'll go real quick. Hi, Hammer.
Hey.
Hi, Minions of the Zoo. Hello, Minions of the Zoo. That's new. Hi, Rotten Corpse. Hi, Keeper Dam. Hi, Green Badger. And hello, Cynic. And hello, Terry.
Hello. Well, mine is even shorter. Hi, Keep. Hi, Tier.
I did send out a bad link tonight. In the rush of trying
to the problem then.
Yeah. So I tried to fix problems and also set the show up all at the same time. Having VLC as part of running the show and trying to diagnose my sound problems, I deleted VLC off my machine while I worked on what was going on with the sound. So when I sat down tonight to get the show ready, I was like, oh, by the way, I'll need a copy of VLC. So I had to go down and install that and all that. So it's just a little complicated. In any case, yeah, we'll see as the night goes on. I think this weird things happen, like the before the show, for people who are going to be in the show or Jen and Terry, I play what songs we're going to have for the artist for the night for the outro. And they usually use a computer-generated voice to introduce the songs. So I go to a site that produces these songs and just a little sound clip, a little MP3 sound clip for each song, just so I don't have to say it, and it fits in fast. It saves time. When I downloaded them, everything appeared fine. I clicked preview and it sounded great, and I was like, great, saved it. When I'm building the file for everybody, for who's for Jen and Terry for tonight, when I went to build that file out, the AI voice that I downloaded only came out of one speaker.
Oh.
Yeah. So weird things like that. Thankfully, I know Resolve well enough to say, okay, take this thing that's only come out of one speaker and make it come out of 2. You can actually edit the file to tell to do that.
Okay.
Because it was in stereo, but missing a channel. So I said, okay, we'll just make it mono. It came out both channels. So even though it was downloaded in stereo, it isn't actually a stereo voice because it's AI.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, this is not going to make any difference in the sound. And even if it did, neither one of you would care, you know? So I was like, but I had to depend. There was no way for me to go back to the site and download it again because it was going to be broken again. So I had to use the fact that I know Resolve pretty well to get around it. So little things like that have been happening ever since. It's only been about sound. My video is great. Everything else has been great. It's just been, the sound has been an issue. So to be honest with you, sound's been an issue with my machine ever since I put it together one way or another. And I think it's an issue with the actual audio card that's built onto the motherboard that's in this machine. It's just very incompatible with Windows. Windows doesn't really support it very well. So the driver is from 2021. Kind of gives you an idea of how long that driver has been sitting in my machine. So, but, well, we'll see. I've been able to get around all the little things so far, so I think the night will go just fine. As far as topics for the night, I have like 8 topics, but I only penned in 3 for tonight. There's been a lot going on. The 3 topics are tonight: pardon, Soty, and what was that? Maher. It's Bill Maher. Maher. How's he pronounce his name? It's Maher, right?
It's Bill Maher, yeah.
Or Maher. Yeah, don't pronounce the H. Maher.
Well, maybe it's just my Australian accent, but yeah, that I pronounce it Maher, as in.
How do you pronounce it, John?
M-A-H-E-R, but like the H is like soft enough that it sounds like M-A-R when I say it.
Do you pronounce the same way, John? And Jen's not here.
I'm here. For which one?
Maher, Bill Maher. How do you pronounce his last name? Is it M-A-R, Maher?
Maher?
Yeah.
Yeah, just Maher.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So the first one is pardon ? If people haven't heard yet, Biden is going to pardon his son, or has it actually gone through, or has he just proposed it?
I don't know. I heard that he'd done it, but I don't know if that was them being inaccurate for the sake of like
fake news,
convenience, like saying that he's done it as meaning that he said that he's going to do it,
right? And nobody can stop him, right? But the reason I put that out there is because I put a question mark behind it, because there's some debate on whether it's legal for him to do the kind of pardon that he put forward. So we can talk about that. Soty is about the Supreme Court of the United States, or SCOTUS for short. Sonia Sotomayor is working on a case with the rest of SCOTUS about allowing youth to transition.
Why shouldn't they? If they want to destroy their lives, I say.
And she
them go right.
Yeah, she compared the transition process to basically taking an aspirin. And then finally, Bill Maher says he may quit real time with Bill Maher because Trump is now the president, and he doesn't want to spend the next 4 years talking about Trump.
But he's going to do that anyway.
Out of all the Democrats, I think he's the one who's the most honest about his opinions with Trump. And it's clear he doesn't like the guy. Sure. You know, if he just flat out was like, I don't like the guy, that's enough of a reason for somebody to say no to voting for him.
No, but let's be real. Whether he has a show or not, he's going to spend the next 4 years talking about Trump. Mm-hmm. Like, he can't help himself. He's just like, even if he's alone in a room, he'll be muttering about Trump to himself. He hates the guy that much.
I think it's also just like, yeah, he hates the guy, but the people he's talking to are insane. True. You know? Like, I think he has like regular levels of hate, because like a lot of people grew up with Trump. A lot of people remember what he was like, and they're just like, yeah, he's an arrogant, rude dude.
Of course.
That's his memory of the guy. But the people he's talking to are talking about the guy like he's fucking Hitler. And it's like, I hate the dude. He ain't fucking Hitler. You know, that's Bill. Like, I wouldn't want to talk about it either. I'd be like, okay.
I actually don't mind Bill Maher. Like, a lot of people on, like, quote unquote our side of things really don't like him, but I don't have a problem with him.
He's a classic liberal. He's not a lefty.
Yeah. He seems like Jen was saying, one of the more balanced, like not on the subject of Trump, but in everything else, he seems one of the more balanced.
He's very much a classic liberal. He believes in a lot of things that current Republicans believe in: the First Amendment, the working class, all of those things that a classic liberal would. He believes in almost nothing the progressives and very little of the left.
Right.
Because the left has moved into crazy town and he hasn't moved.
Yes. I would agree.
It's not too different from watching Piers Morgan. Like, I could absolutely see people losing their shit if they listen to him talking about guns, because he has his own views on that. But if you talk to him about any other thing, like the trans stuff, he's okay with gay people, but like most people, he thinks that stuff has been horrifically rushed and that there's actually probably some medical crimes going on. You know, two things can be true at the same time. Be like, I understand you have your situation. Doing this might kill you, though, you know? And that's where he is. And because he's like that, well, he's a transphobe now.
Of course he is.
I'm not a big fan of Piers.
Everyone is.
Never been a big fan ever since the first time I saw him. The very first time I saw, well, I guess you could call it his show, was when he had Ben Shapiro on.
Yeah.
Right.
And boy, did he get his ass handed to him. And
yes, he did.
He didn't take it well.
No.
So I was immediately like, dude, get your British ass back across the pond. Don't be coming to America and telling us what we're doing wrong with our guns. It's none of your fucking business. Get out of here. So I always had that against him. But then he kind of, I don't know, came around a little bit on a lot of the subjects that he was very hardline wrong about. I think that it opened his eyes. That it took him some time, but that Ben Shapiro confrontation kind of opened his eyes a little bit. Well, maybe I'm not seeing this. I'm only seeing it from the British perspective. I don't live in America. How are they seeing it? Maybe I should do a little research and figure this out. And I think some of that has happened. But what I did see him do that I thought really bothered me was he had Pearl on, and he treated Pearl well. And they were talking to people, and he had her on twice. And he and her teamed up on some really stupid people and blasted them. The third time he had him on, he had someone with him and blasted her.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah,
you spend all your time on her side when it served you, but now you want to go the other way for clicks, and now you're against her. And it was completely out of nowhere. He came on thinking, oh, this is just going to be the third time, same as the first two times. Nope. He went hard on her, and she was like, I don't think she's been back on this program since he's done that. So,
I mean, fair enough. I mean, if you get ambushed, you're not going to be likely to return.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But yeah. So I mean, I saw him do that, and I was like, no. But he is very hard on the left. I'll give him that much.
Yeah.
So.
I'm feeling neutral towards Piers Morgan. Like, I've heard him say some good things and some stupid things. It's like he's kind of a case by case basis with me.
Yeah. I shouldn't be so. He's British and fuck him, but I'm American. We're all like that, you know.
In fairness, he's talking. If he's talking about your country, you do have the right to say "fuck you." You don't even live here.
Right.
Like, if Americans start talking shit about how Australia should do things, it's like, oh, fuck you. You don't know. You've never been here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I'm still wrong, because if you said something like that he said, I wouldn't take it the same way as when he says it. And same thing for Jen. Even more so for Jen, because she's on the same continent.
But I think that's mostly because I would probably say it in a different way to Piers Morgan. Like, I would not have the arrogance that he does. I wouldn't be like, you're doing it wrong. I'd be, here is why I disagree with the way you're doing it. It's like, I'm not going to be like, you idiot Americans don't know what you're doing. Like, I would never say that.
That would be funny though.
Yeah.
Because you'd be kind of right. That's kind of the deal. But I mean, if Jen said, well, Trump's an asshole, I'd be like, well, he's got some problems. But if Pierce said Trump's an asshole, get the fuck out of our country. You know, it's a completely different thing, you know?
But that is actually part of the reason why he's changed, though, you know? Is simply because he refused to deny. They wanted him to deny his friendship to Trump. Like, kick him out with the curb. Trump's a bad guy. He's Orange Man bad. And Pierce was like, why the fuck would I do that? I've been friends with the guy for years. He supported me financially for years. So why would I throw him out? And just that alone was enough for him to get kicked off of people's lists. That kind of thing will piss he's a narcissist. I think a lot of people that are celebrities are just narcissists. He's typical for it. If you piss off a narcissist, you are on a blacklist for life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing with him. Like, he might change his mind about certain opinions because of certain things like that. Like, these guys were willing to screw me over because I'm not willing to lose a friendship. What else are they willing to do to me? You know, and they've done that to so many people over the years. And they do it for people that, well, they were willing to throw him under the bus for Meghan Markle. And no offense to the girl, she's been an American bitch the entire time she's been in England. That's what she did wrong. It's not about her color.
like I said about Taylor Swift, full offense to Meghan Markle. What the fuck do I care?
It has nothing.
If she wants to get offended, she can get offended.
Like, the one thing you do in England that's going to piss everyone off, be amazingly American, and it'll do it.
I think maybe the reason why I'm a little tougher on the Brits than anybody else is because the three of us have something in common. We all came from the British Empire.
Yes.
Except that you were handed your freedom and we weren't. So maybe that's the reason. Yeah, we had to get pew-pews out and start.
Yes, you did.
Giving people.
We were just amazingly expensive and
very
cocky about it.
It's my new favorite word, by the way.
Yeah.
Leadacillin. Wi-Fi lead injection.
Yeah.
There's a guy, what's his name? Ingram, who does these videos on YouTube where he shows people, you know, bad guys attacking and getting their asses handed to him. And he does like a play-by-play behind it. You haven't heard it before? It's hilarious.
Oh, I think I know.
Look at this guy. He's doing this and wham! He gets knocked on the ground and gets a copy of this. Blah, blah, blah. It's just very, you know, sensationalistic, like you would see, you know. I guess you have to have it come across your feed. If I find one, I'll send one to the both of you.
Okay.
But or maybe I'll just reply to one on my feed. People who are following me will see it. But I think his name is Steve Ingram, and it's unnecessary.
Yeah, I think I know the guy you mean.
Yeah, it's like unnecessary commentary. I think is the name of the little show thing that he does. But he's got a very dynamic voice. It makes me laugh. But maybe that's the reason why, is because, you know, the Empire, and I'm still pissed that we had to do the whole Revolutionary War thing.
Green Badger says Steve Inman is his name.
Okay, that's close. Ingram Inman, that's pretty good. You know who I'm talking about then, Green Badger. You know, if you know his name, you know that you've seen the videos.
I know the guy you're referring to. But yeah, I didn't know his name offhand. But yeah, I did know who you were talking about.
Yeah, there's a radio announcer in Pennsylvania. I think his name is Steve Ingram. That's maybe where I'm getting it from. I think he used to do Phillies games. That's a baseball team in the United States, by the way.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And T says restore the monarchy. You would get along great with the aristocratic utensil. So I don't know if you're already watching, but if you're a monarchist, I think you would enjoy.
Monarchies? Aren't all monarchies kind of on the pale side? I don't know if one it's not.
The aristocratic utensil says that democracy is cringe and gay, and that you need a good king to rule the country.
Okay. No monarchies.
You can agree or disagree with Mr. Utensil, but that is his frequently stated position.
Presidents are where it's at. Prime ministers, boo-hoo. Presidents are where it's at.
He doesn't want a prime minister. He wants a king. He wants like a bloodline.
Yeah, but I was talking about you two. Both of you guys have prime ministers, right?
Yes.
He keeps saying that, and I keep telling, like, I want to side-eye him and be like, listen, Charles has his own problems, you know? I like him, but I actually don't want him to be in charge of the UK right now, because he's kind of a fan of the WF stuff, and he's kind of really pro into the saving the environment shit, because a lot of people bought that, you know? And he's kind of at that age where he's looking at his absolutely adorable grandkids, which he has.
But no, Utensil, from what I can understand, his argument is you can have a bad king or a good king. You can only have a bad bureaucracy. That's why he's against like the current government system. Is like an individual king might be good or might be bad, but a bureaucracy is always bad, and so a monarchy is better in his mind.
I didn't know the Phillies were the oldest Major League Baseball team in the league. I didn't know that. I'll puff my chest out. Obviously, the Philadelphia Phillies are a Pennsylvania team, and I'm living in Pennsylvania, so I'll take credit for that. But I did not know that. I always thought the Yankees were the first one in. But Assassin of the Great, I think we're triggering him. Everybody, be careful. I don't want to upset him. We have a republic.
Yeah. But he does watch aristocratic utensils, so he's already familiar with his work.
Well, if you, and I hate saying this, but if you think of the original Canucks as being the French side of Canada, they were technically here first.
I got into a big argument about that today, about indigenous people, because the three of us have our own brand of indigenous people. You have the Intuit. Terry has Aborigines, and we have the American Indian. All three lands have their quote unquote originals, but life did not start on this continent, and it did not start on Australia. Life started in Africa. That's where humans came from. They came from Africa, and even the Inuit and the I'm not sure about Australia, but for you and me, Jen, our ancestors were not born here. They did not come from here. American Indians and Inuit didn't come from here. They came from Africa. In a low level of water, there was a land bridge between the two continents, and they walked across it and populated it. But they never started here. They're not indigenous. Indigenous is where you started from. Now, they just migrated here. They're immigrants.
They also ignore the fact that over spans of lifetimes, that bridge was in and out of
existence,
cropping into existence, which means people that had moved here were probably well, I hate to break it to them that like there's a constant history of people coming into places, and it's either you survived it or you didn't, you know. That's kind of how it is.
That might be an interesting point, that people came across and the land bridge went away and they didn't survive, they died. The land bridge became available again and a new crop came across and they survived. That's a possibility.
It's actually a frequent story. Like they find tribes that have been gone for years, and it is actually because of other native tribes that they try to keep the story of other tribes alive. Like sometimes it's because they're enemies and stuff, like, oh, they were the enemies of this hill or something.
Oh, there's nobody more enemies than the American Indian. There was so many tribes here, they were killing each other, wanton violence between them all.
But
no, that is incorrect. Violence started with white people. Everyone prior to white people lived in peace and harmony and sang kumbaya around a campfire.
Yeah, I got into a big argument on Twitter about this. On my personal account, my real account, not my Hammer account, but on my real account, with somebody about this, about how they were migrants, and not only that, but I got into white people are colonizers, and I was like, no, we're not colonizers. Why are we getting this wrong? They're not natives, and we're not colonizers. You're getting all these wrong.
If anything, we failed at it then, because you wouldn't still be here.
We're not colonizers. We're conquerors. It's much worse than colonizers. Colonizers just come here and take over. We were conquerors. We killed people on purpose. You know, we conquered and settled. We never colonized. And so it's a completely different process between the two of them. You end up kind of in the same place, but there are two different ways of doing it. So
we came, we saw, they died.
Yeah, more or less. Most of the time it was a fair fight. Most of the time it was like just coming to heads with each other. But every once in a while we did something stupid, like passing out wool blankets that had disease in them. That was a smart move.
The other thing that a lot of the natives really forget is that a lot of times those fights with us was them introducing us to their problems. You know, like to get goods or to get help from certain natives, sometimes we were helping them fight other tribes. You know, the exchange of guns for goods, that kind of stuff. Sure. That's part of the reason we were doing that, was like, well, we're not involved in your shit, but you're going to save us from starvation if we give you some guns. So sure, here, have that. What you did with them afterwards had nothing to do with us. Sometimes it did. Like it's a very...
Right.
Every story you encounter when it comes to our history over here is exactly that different. Like sometimes it was malicious, like we just wanted your gold. Sometimes it was just, we're going to die starving to death if we don't get help from these people. And sometimes it was just, these guys are crazy. These guys aren't. Let's help these guys because these guys are crazy. A lot of that was what was going on. You know, because you are dealing with different people.
Six in chat makes an excellent point. History started in 2016, guys. Come on.
Right?
Chad is on fire tonight because Kieradam gets it. She says Native Americans colonized when they first came here. Exactly. There was nobody for them to fight except each other. But there was nobody for them to conquer. So they colonized. There's the difference.
The one thing I do try to give them a little respect for is some people, and it's not every tribe. It is an individual person who'll do this kind of thing. Is they'll try to remember the tribes that aren't here anymore, because they don't always know what happened. Like sometimes they do, but a lot of history is just gone. You know, it's kind of like that all across the world. Sometimes you just don't know what happened. So they try to remember as much about those people as they can in the hopes that, you know, somebody remembers them. I just know that, like, there was a thing last week where people were freaking out over the word Eskimo.
Yeah.
So I'm just letting you know why I won't use the word. Kendra explained to me.
Is it a no word now?
It's the translation of the word. A lot of times white people pick up a word and then nobody actually tells us what the translation of the word is. But you're telling somebody they're a cannibal or a raw flesh eater. That's what Eskimo means. It's not the name of the tribe.
Okay.
So somewhere
that's
down
why
the
they
line,
use Inuit now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And it's one of those things, they don't actually explain stuff like that. Like in school, they don't tell you stuff like that. So you've got kids who think, you know, I think Eskimo kiss, you know, I told Kendra that.
Cannibal kiss, nice.
An Eskimo kiss is where you take your nose and you just rub it against, like maybe it's a kid or your grand.
Let's be real. Cannibal kiss sounds way more hardcore than an Eskimo kiss. I'm in favor of renaming it.
But yeah, you're not thinking that when you're thinking that word. And I'm like, that's really a communication thing. You know, most people would drop the word if they knew that, because it's like, that's kind of something to name.
I think it doesn't matter what the word originally meant. That's not the way people use it now. It's like, I pretend to care, but I don't actually. Where decimate technically originally means to reduce by 10%. Not a single person outside of me actually uses it to mean that. Like, technically, if a sale is 10% off, prices have been decimated, but no one means that. They mean complete destruction. So the word effectively means complete destruction, even if 1,000 years ago it meant to reduce by 10%. It doesn't mean that anymore.
Here's the thing, though, Terry. I think if you're going to use a word, you're going to use it anyway. I don't think there's anything wrong with understanding what the word actually means, though. You know, it's kind of like the N word.
No,
it means ignorant. You know, it means ignorant.
It's fine to know the history, but be aware of the fact that it's not used that way anymore. Like, if I call someone an Eskimo, I'm referring to the current day usage of the word Eskimo. I'm not secretly implying that they're a cannibal. Well, I'm saying that they, you know, live in an igloo and wear furs, and you know.
That has to do with a lot of the younger Native community. Like, I think I don't know if it's just they're a little bit mad at their elders for not like sticking to that word or something, or being like, don't call us that. But a lot of them don't really understand the conclusion that you came to, which is what their parents came to. Like, this word doesn't mean the same thing to the white people. It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything to them when they're using it. So they don't take issue with it as much. But their kids are way more sensitive to that stuff. And I think that's just the culture that we've built around them.
Of course.
And they're giving power to that word is what they're actually doing. And I'm like, well, you're now giving it power. So people using it can now use it maliciously, whereas before it was just an Eskimo kiss.
No, but I think it's far more important what someone means than the precise words that they use. Like, if I say Eskimo, there is an important difference if I'm using it to imply that you're a cannibal, or if I'm just referring to, you know, what most people in the modern world think of when they think of an Eskimo. They think of someone living in the snow.
Yeah.
Like, which one of those I mean is more important than the fact that I use the word Eskimo?
Pay no attention to what I say. Pay only attention to what I mean.
Well, essentially, if it's clear that you don't mean it a certain way, then interpreting it that way just to be offended is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I would tell the young natives? Like, if they really want to change the word, the only way that they're going to do that is to introduce them to the correct word. And that's going to be even more difficult because white people don't pick up languages quickly. We don't, which means you're going to have to put up with us mangling a new word. like they do have tribal names. It's like a lot of native names. I don't doubt that you have this in your neck of the woods, Terry. It's just something you're not familiar with pronouncing. So you know, if it had a tick or a talk, he hates saying that like that. It doesn't sound like what you say. So I need an abbreviated version for me, the white person, so that I'm not actually shitting on your ancestor.
No, I think, like I said, I think intent matters far more than the precise wording used. Like, if I say something that's like technically incorrect, but everybody knows what I mean, then pointing it out is like pointless. It's like, you know what I mean. There's like getting hung up on precise wording doesn't accomplish anything, unless it's an amusing typo. Like there was a guy who said that monkeypox is started by men having sex with men, but unfortunately he forgot the N on the second men.
Me?
He said monkeypox was men having sex with me, and then therefore that was very, very funny, and that's why I retweeted it.
I also had to tell Kendra that the problem with the woke crowd is it's never enough. It's never enough. Even if you meet them in the middle, it's still not going to be enough, because I don't call them Inuits either. And my reasoning for that is because there's more than one tribe that would be in the Inuit category, which means you're lumping everybody into the same category. And it's the same as calling people natives. Like there's so many...
Well, you can lump people in a category and be okay, as long as it's not a term that would offend anybody in the category. I don't mind being called white.
I do and I don't. I didn't before, because before it was just, the thing I have in common with everyone else in Europe is my skin. But then they made it personal to me, Hammer, when they reduced me to my skin tone. And I was thinking I'm like a French person or a German, really?
They reduced you to a sexual item.
Yeah.
You know, you are a birthing machine. You're not even a woman anymore. Ridiculous.
Like I was saying before, this comes back to intent.
It does.
Someone saying you are white is not offensive unless they use it to mean as a derogatory slur. If they're insulting you using the word white, then it's an insult because they intended it to be insulting. If they're just pointing out your skin color, then it's not offensive in the slightest.
When they do it, it's done with the intention of erasing everything else that you might actually be as a person. Well, and that's why I respond to that. And it's not everybody. It really is just the woke crowd who's obnoxious with that shit.
Yeah, but my point is that if Hammer said, if Hammer was referring to me and he said, that white guy over there, I have no problem with that because he's not using it as a derogatory. Like,
are you reading keyword name in chat by any chance?
Caucasoid in a tabulating machine, yeah. But no, like if someone refers to me as white just purely descriptively, then that's me. Fine, I am. I'm
your ejaculating machine.
That's kind of the problem with the current day people.
Like a compliment. It's not even a bad thing.
Like I don't try to let them like get to me too much, but it is dealing with people who are actively being racist over and over again, and you're like, shit, you are kind of an asshole. But you know, I think I appreciate learning how to shrug it off too, because most of them are retarded.
Well, all of them are.
And I've taken on this little task of taking the piss out of most of them. Because, Terry, if you don't know, if you want to find out a lot about a person, just remember what their last name can mean to a person. No offense to Mercante, but the moment I heard her name, I was like, she's a fucking French bitch. You know what? Yeah. She's fucking French. You ain't just white. You're also from someplace. And that place has a hell of a lot of history. And the Brits remember a lot of French history because they had to deal with them a lot. I don't like doing that. Like the whole thing with having a Canadian flag or American flag was it's the thing we have in common.
Yeah.
And it's the important thing that we have in common. Like we have something that does tie us together. And yeah, we have our differences. Sometimes it's stuff that has nothing to do with skin. It could just be like, you know, I don't know what games you play, Terry, but I wouldn't doubt that mine would drive you nuts.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
we
mean,
could share a movie or something, but like I think the games, yeah, I don't know why I play anything that you would do.
I have a pretty broad field of interest when it comes to video games, but there are specific genres that I just don't have time for. So, like, I tried playing 7 Days to Die, and that is just god awful. And like games of that genre just don't appeal to me at all.
Yeah, I don't
Like
like
the
them either.
survival,
Gathering
the
stuff.
survival crafting system mechanics.
And
Yeah,
I'm sure you remember from the Jackbox days that I am dyslexic. So even if I want to spell something right, I ain't gonna. So translating the shit I was writing was just not possible.
Isn't it funny that some of the Jackbox games were more enjoyable than the AAA games that you can buy in a store for $80?
Well, they're simple.
Oh,
yeah.
I think that's a large part is because they're multiplayer and any experience is enhanced by hanging out with your friends while you do it.
Yeah. What was the that Jackbox game, Murder Death Party or something like that?
Trivia Murder Party, yeah.
Yeah.
The puppets are funny.
They are. They're all kinds of like mangled and sewn back together and all just destroyed.
And I admit I feel a lot of that because it's genre that I should know, but I'm like, that was 20 years ago. I can't remember for shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes the guesses though, like the amount of times I've won just because I pulled guesses out of my ass.
Yeah. No, I've done that too. I remember one time I got like 5 in a row and they were all guesses. It's just this sounds right, I'll go with this one, and it was right. And like, okay, cool.
Usually you can kind of discern the question or discern the answer by reading intently the question. It kind of guides you. I mean, there are certainly ones where just like you have to have the knowledge, but often when I would guess, I'm like, this seems the most likely of these, and it was right.
Yeah.
So the poll is out for Sheryl Crow's music. It is going absolutely the opposite the way I thought it would, of course, because that's the way things work around here. Jesus.
Naturally.
But there are 7 votes, and I believe we have more than 7 people. So get your votes in, and we'll end the poll. Doesn't really look like there's much of a chance of anything but a specific one winning the poll.
Yeah,
so
it does look quite one-sided.
Not the song I would have predicted.
I mean, the one I would have.
Yeah, you picked it. But the 2 that I picked, the most popular and the one I liked the most, did not come in first or second.
There you go.
They were tied for last. So
yeah.
My musical prowess right there on the screen for everyone to see. I was kind of scared because I thought one of them would run away, but I didn't think it would be this one.
Yeah. Oh, now we know.
Okay. So
7
votes. Everybody get your votes in. You 2 have voted, right?
Yep. Sure did. Double check too.
I always vote pretty much as soon as I see the poll pop up. So yeah, okay. I voted.
I'll stop asking. I didn't know if you did or if you.
No, you're good. I double check anyway sometimes just because like, did I? Yep. Now for games that I'd like to do, and I'm trying to figure this one out with like Kefki and Blue. The problem is the app that we have is only connected to Twitch, so I want to see if we can find one that's YouTube friendly. But it's basically a little game where it starts off where somebody has to draw something, and then the next person has to...
I'm already out. I'm already not playing it.
Well, that's why I wanted to do it with Kefki and Blue. And
oh yeah, that'd be better.
You know, like get a couple of our artists on there, and you basically are going from the first person's drawing to the second person, either completing the drawing or changing it. And so I figured out right away, well, that's easy. That's an easy way to make something funny. You know, He started off with a squirrel, and I ended up adding a gun to it, and then Arms gave him military gear, and then the next person made it like, you know, it was kind of a play on the squirrel with the gun. By that point, stuff like that's kind of fun if you've got people who can draw. Same with singers, that kind of thing. It's just not every app is friendly with YouTube because YouTube and Twitch are like competing with each other, you know, or something. I just hate Twitch.
Jump in a second real quick to chat. GRAM says chat keeps freezing. Does anybody else having a problem?
It looks fine to me.
Every once in a while, I do refresh for YouTube because it'll do that.
No, you know. I think what she means is the on-screen chat isn't scrolling properly. That might be what she's talking about.
Oh.
Our on-screen chat?
It looks like, but that also looks fine to me. But that is another possibility for what she could be referring to, because
Critical Thinkers Guild, No Picture by Sheryl Crow. We don't usually do kind of like ballads. Most of the time it's kind of upbeat music. So that's the reason why I do have that song, but I didn't include it in the top 4 because it was a ballad or romantic slow song. Looks like, I guess everybody has voted.
I guess so.
Right, well, I'll go ahead and end the poll. I'll vote for mine first.
For you, we need to do Ugly Kid Joe, obviously.
No idea who that is.
They're like a band from the 90s. They did I Hate Everything About You. They did Neighbor. They did a cover of Cats in the Cradle, and I'm sure we could rustle up the 4th song.
I know Cats in the Cradle. That's an oldie, golden oldie.
I think it just rumbles a little bit slow, or it doesn't always show the last comment. Like, I think it stops after the second to last comment. So I think that's what she might have meant, because Rumble was kind of stuck on why is Sotomayor so fucking dumb. And like TUES had Crazy Town under that for like a good 10-15 minutes now. But I wrote something just to see, and now it shows up. I'm like, okay.
Maybe a little glitch. That would probably be on YouTube's side.
It's probably just the stream delay. Like, she's typing something in chat and it's not showing up for like 10 to 15 seconds or something. And
yeah, there is for YouTube. There's a delay. If you type something in, it takes time to be recorded by YouTube and spit back out to everybody else. So there is that. But that's nothing new.
It's not a big deal. It's good to test it every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Usually when somebody says it's freezing, it means that the little circle that goes on and on forever, you have to refresh the entire web page. That's what I thought when she was saying that. So,
but I didn't get any buffering at all on the stream, so that's fine.
Okay. I guess we can cover 1 or 2 topics before.
Why not? Break tradition.
More than Maher. See, I will say Maher sometimes. It's I know it's pronounced Maher. It's a silent H. It's just if I don't have it said first, I'll do the reading thing. He has one of those names that's written in a way, and it's pronounced different.
I don't think it's a silent H. I think it's just soft. Like, when I say it's pronounced Ma, it's sort of Maher, but it's like sort of compacted into a single syllable. It's hard to describe. The H is there. It's just not prominent.
You can feel your throat constrict for the H, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference.
Yeah. So it is there. It's just not a prominent part of the pronunciation.
Yeah, I was told in England, you really do want to make sure that you're pronouncing ma'am properly, because they get mad if it sounds like spam or ham. They're like,
right,
ma'am. I drive them nuts, Terry. I have to tell Batman and TC on occasion that I'm from the international city of Canada. Yes. Like many people, it's English done second language. So you're lucky this is what you get. You're lucky it's not French.
In Critical Thinkers Guild, when people say things weird, I ask, "Are you having a stroke?" It's like that is not on-stream behavior. If I'm going to do that, it will definitely be after the stream is over.
There's a scene in a movie that always makes me laugh. That's kind of along this line. The movie is it's a baseball movie with Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell And
is that oh yeah, League of Their Own or something?
All American, yeah, League of the All American girls baseball team, I think was the organization back then. But yeah, it's a League of her own. There's no crying in baseball. She's crying, sir. They're driving down the road in a bus. It's like a silver liner. It looks like almost like a school bus, but it's silver, flat front on it. And for some reason, the driver can't take one of the players' children that's bothering him, so he just quits, pulls the bus over, and just starts walking. And Tom Hanks is on the bus. He's a manager of the team, but he's drunk and he's asleep. So finally, he wakes up because the bus isn't moving. And the girls are outside trying to figure out, what are we going to do? You know, they got out of the bus. And Tom Hanks walks down the ramp of the bus, turns to the girls and says, "Hey, you got to get back in the, we're going to get out." And he goes back in the bus. And the girls kind of look at each other, and Rosie O'Donnell says, "Was that English?" It's the way she says it is so natural. It's hard to understand that she's an actor acting. It just seems like that would be what I would say. It cracks me up every time I see it. Not like the best movie in the world, but it's enjoyable enough because it talks specifically about history. But
it was good for the time.
Yeah, but I mean, it talks specifically about history, something that actually happened that you can actually see, and the people that are in the movie are actually people who were in the All-American girls baseball team, so they're named after real people. So they kind of played their own played parts of people who actually existed. So it's actually a really good. It's not a documentary. It's a regular movie. But then you find at the end, the characters that you've been watching all this time were actually real people, and they show pictures of the real people.
It's kind of loosely based on a true story. It's not an actual like documentary. It's like something similar to this happened in real life.
It's basically some of the dramatics in the story are for theater, but it is based off of a real life story.
Yeah. If you have time, it's a pretty good movie. Like I said, it's
it actually it's probably a better time for those actors too. Like I feel bad because the one time Chet comes to visit, and I'm gonna have to throw a Madonna joke out, but it is probably one of the few times where she was still attractive and kind of in the middle. She wasn't about politics. She was Madonna being Madonna. I didn't have an issue with her back then because she was just Madonna being Madonna.
She played a pretty good part.
Yeah, she did. She's a decent enough actress. I'd say she's better as an actress than a singer. I think her thing nowadays is just the politics, and she's probably crazy.
She is. She 100%.
She grew up in America, made a boatload of money, and then moved to England and said, "Fuck you guys." So that's how I feel about her. But if you get a chance to watch the movie, it's I enjoyed it.
It's also Rosie O'Donnell was in that, and yet again another person who back then was actually pleasant back then. Like wasn't all about politics.
I refuse to believe it.
It was kind of funny. I mean, you don't know what she was in private, but I've actually met Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh God, you poor thing.
Yeah, but it was just I was at an event representing the politics of my school district, and I can't say too much about doxing myself here. I got to be careful how I say this, but there was several school districts and representatives from school districts, and we were just in a room, and she came in, and she was like, "What you're doing here is a great thing, blah, 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 blah. And I want to get a chance to talk to all of you, and da-da-da-da-da." And she was going to apparently, tap in with some money. So that's why she was there. And she had a big speech and all that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, the only times I've quote unquote met celebrities is at like official signings. So like I met Terry Pratchett because I said like 5 words to him about what name to put on the signed copy of his book that I was about to buy. But I've not like had meaningful conversations with any celebrities. I've just sort of said, "Hi, can you make it out to Terry, please?" And then like, "Thank you."
Got condolences from Assassin of the Grey because I met her. But when I met her, she was actually, she had her PR face on, she wasn't political. She was just very nice and congenial and smiling and engaging. It was actually a pleasant experience. people change over time. She's just gone off the edge.
And Gunsky has taken up his old mantle. He's foretelling the end of the stream by showing up right before the end.
Yeah. Well, 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's good to have you back in your original role, Jack.
But yeah, she wasn't bad. I didn't have too much of a problem with her. She was all right. So if you had your opportunity to meet a specific, you would probably be Eric Idle, right?
No, I don't have any reason to meet Eric Idle. I think it's funny that he blocked me on Twitter, but that's
right.
the extent of it.
I mean, if someone gave you the opportunity to meet any celebrity you want, who would it be?
Maybe John Cleese. Maybe Rowan Atkinson. Like one of the old school English.
Yeah.
Roseanne Barr, because I'd have to
really.
Prepare myself. Oh yeah, I'd have to prepare myself to be roasted because anyone is fair game to her, you know, and I actually respect that. You know, she's not going to just be nice to me because I'm a fan, but she might be nice to me because I'm a fan. She's still alive, which is, you know, she won't be forever. So, and she's just a massive. She's just a pothead. So I figured it'd just be a chill conversation. You don't have to do the pot tear. I'm just letting you know, you don't have to smoke it. If they're just chilling smoking with you, it's just going to be a casual conversation.
Yeah.
She was on, Roseanne was on, whatchamacallit, on Bill Maher's personal podcast, not his show, but on his podcast. He has a podcast that he does that's separate from Real Time. And she was on with him and she was hilarious. I think if I were to pick somebody, it'd be close. There'd be two people that were really close, but I'd probably have to go with Bill Shatner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
He's just a nice guy who's got a very sharp wit if you cross him.
See, if I did that, I'd have to restrain myself from bringing some fried turkey when I go to meet him.
Okay, why? You have to explain that to the American.
Because he has a video clip of him making a joke about frying a turkey, and the joke is he burned the house down behind him. It was just an act.
Down the House is another Talking Head song that we didn't mention.
It was just a hyped up video of him being like, I'm going to show you how to fry a turkey. And then it was just a joke about him burning out. I like him. He's great.
He's funny. The other guy would probably be Elon. I always wanted to meet Elon.
Okay. Yeah.
That's reasonable.
And maybe David Byrne could be the celebrity I choose, because that'd be interesting.
Yeah, a singer, right?
Yeah.
Actors and singers. I mean, Elon is neither an actor or a singer, but he's still a celebrity because he's the richest man on the planet.
Yep.
So there's that. And it's funny how much I like him, yet I have no involvement in anything he does. I don't own a Tesla. I've never looked into Neuralink. I don't even live in LA, so the boring company is not going to impact me. You know, SpaceX, his rockets don't even fly over top of Pennsylvania. So, I mean, I have no interaction with them all, but I always wanted to meet him. Ever since I first heard about Tesla, I was like, that guy thinks outside the box. I want to talk to him.
I have mixed feelings about Elon. I like him. Obviously, I respect his accomplishments. He's done a lot of amazing things. I would never take his advice on women, though. He has really poor taste in women. 3, I feel for the guy. He's gone from being a mega genius to the left to everything he does now is them looking for him having autism moments. And I'm the type of person to understand enough about autism to really admire that about Elon, is he does have autism. He does. It's one of those things that he's kind of proud to say because he went through a lot during his school years to overcome that shit. But he's going to have tisms. It's just a thing that happens when you're autistic. And that's all they do with him now is slander him for that. And I'm like, I hate to break it to those people. Autistic kids wish they could have accomplished what he did. Admittedly, a lot of that has to do with his mom and how she was a tiger mom for her kid, you know, to make sure that he could make it. But it's one of those things that he used to do more talks about the autism, and he just doesn't have time to. You know, he does so many things. And I wish that he could, because what they're doing to the autism community by doing that is fucked up.
Kieran says Tina Fey is her celebrity.
Really? I think
Tina
she's
Fey is a very attractive lady, I think.
I think she's one of the last female comedians that I can still laugh at. You know, she's still very liberal, but she's from an era that still exists, but Hollywood pretends doesn't. Because it's not that women can't be funny; they just keep finding the ones that aren't.
I will disagree. Women can't be funny. And one of my jokes that I've made is that I think Tyr Alexander is secretly transgender because he's about as funny as a woman. It's Gunsky in chat is pointing out that I don't really want to meet David Byrne. If I'm being honest, I don't really want to meet any celebrity. I'm just taking the question as who do I think is cool. Mm-hmm. Like, I would have nothing to say to any celebrity really, other than, hey, I like that thing that you were in. That's kind of the extent of the conversation. Or, hey, can you sign this, please?
I'd like to ask Bill about things that are not Trek, because I think he's so known for Trek that anytime anybody meets him, that's the first thing you go to. He did a whole series where he was a cop. I can't remember the name of the show, but it lasted for like 6 or 7 years, where he was a cop.
I think I know the one you mean. I'm blanking on the name. Is it like T.J. Hooker? Is that the one?
Yeah, T.J. Hooker. Exactly right. That's exactly what it was. Yeah, he was on that for like 5 or 6 years. It was a good run, if I remember correctly. I'd like to ask him about it. You know, just because he's, you know, if anybody meets him, it's like the first thing they do is a Vulcan salute and, oh, Captain Kirk, and he's like, oh, not another one. You know, I like to go up to him and say, hey, you know, what did you do before that, and what was it like being on T.J. Hooker, and ask him questions that are not, for as much of a Trekkie as I am, you probably won't meet many people that are adoring of the show as me, but
I could kind of get that, you know, like I don't know all of what Bill Maher's history was in the entertainment, but he's still in the age group to remember a lot of people from like the 80s and the 90s.
Bill Maher was a stand-up comic. That's where he got his roots.
Well, that's why I want to ask him. Like, there's people from the 80s and the 90s that I linger on now because I'm an adult, but like lately John Candy keeps cropping up. And I'm like, I wonder if he ever interviewed the guy, you know, because he was a good comedian too.
If you ever meet William Shatner, the thing to bring up is his time as Ranger Bill on the Howdy Doody show. That'll be like,
he'd probably laugh.
Wow, you're a real fan.
The only person I ever heard Bill Maher mention that I remember, I had in my head and I just forgot it. Oh, Tim Allen. That's the only person I've ever heard him mention. He's mentioned to other comedians that he came up with, but I didn't know who they were. They never became famous, but he did mention Tim Allen.
Huh. Okay. He's just somebody I would ask. Like, even if he didn't, like, you know, just his memory of the impression of the guy. Because it's just, there's only so many people left alive who still remember him, you know?
Yeah.
And that's going to be true worse than like 10 years. So I'm like, I want to get some interviews in with people because
he looks amazing for his age. He's like 80 something now, 85 or 82 or something like that. And he looks like he's like 60.
Yeah. He does seem like he's aged well, at least visibly. I don't know what his health is like, but
yeah, he's overweight, but he doesn't look beat up, you know.
No, he looks good for his age.
Yes, he does. But that's what I would do. I'd ask him about something that was not Trek. For as much of a Trekker as I am, Trekkie, whatever you want to call it, I would ask him questions that had nothing to do with Trek, just because no one ever does.
Ask him about his music career, because he had a musical career.
Yeah, he did do a couple albums. He did do a couple albums. Yeah, that would be the same thing. Yeah.
Rocket Man is probably his most famous song, but he's done a bunch of them.
I do the same thing with Hugh Laurie. I'm sure everyone who talks to him goes immediately to House MD, or maybe the time that he spent between.
I've never seen House.
Yeah, or the time that he spent on British TV with Stephen Fry might be the two things
That's probably where I'd go. Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be the two things most people. So I would ask him about how's the band doing. Have you guys thought about cutting a new album? You know, that kind of stuff, because I think there's a certain amount of passion in there for him. And that would probably be something he would be anxious to talk about, or no, not anxious, but interested in talking about.
Rotten in chat says there's a couple of celebrities I wouldn't mind going to the range with, just because I think that would be a blast. I don't know if he's suggesting he wants to shoot them. It kind of sounds a bit like he is.
Yeah, it would be great to go to the range with Clint Eastwood. Pulls out his gun and points it down the range. Punk.
Yeah. Is it
Blam.
Is it Keanu Reeves, one of the ones that really takes the gun thing seriously too? He might actually be good to go to a gun range with.
I don't know if how crazy he is in real life with his own life about guns. I know he's big into motorcycles. He's got an Indian that he drives around all over the place. So, I mean, not like an Indian, but a motorcycle made by a company called Indian. You got to be careful. I don't like the show canceled.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is 10:03.
Yes, I was going to point that out as well.
Believe me, when it's getting close to the end of the show, I'm looking at the screen. I just don't want to be abrupt about it. Say, okay, bye, and click the button.
No. That's why I was waiting for the thread of the conversation to tie up, and then I was going to bring it up.
So, unless you guys have anything.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, I guess I should bring up my outro though and get out of here. Special thanks to everybody in chat. Chat was on fire tonight. That was nice to see. So thank you guys for expressing your opinions. We appreciate it. We got to interact with chat more often. I enjoy it.
Steve McQueen.
Wrong button. Where's the music? Oh, it's over here. I put it in a different place. I'll get it right. Don't worry about it. I've been doing this like once or twice before. I should have it down by now.
Yeah.
Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember the minions are live every evening except Tuesday, with those shows starting at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 6 days a week. Host and start times are linked in the description down below. Don't forget about the Rumble pre-show. That actually worked tonight, amazingly. That show usually starts about half an hour before YouTube, around 8:30-ish or so. We will, of course, be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a good one.